Now, Tiffany, you hear a lot about Warped Tour with the famous after parties. Can you kind of share some stories?
Yeah, the after parties are a lot of fun because you get everybody finally gets some downtime and gets to hang out. There's a lot of themed after parties. Not too long after Michael Jackson died, we had a Michael Jackson after party and everyone dressed up. And Nick from Tat dressed up as a little boy, and it was it was too far, but it was so funny. Everyone, it was so funny. But the after parties, cornhole's a really big thing. It sounds
What?
gross. It's a game.
Oh.
It's where you have they're slanted and you get like this hole with a beanbag, like a carnival game.
Okay.
I don't know why that cornhole is such a big deal on Warped Tour. I mean, people take those tournaments very seriously out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make any sense. But it all just turns into a big dance party. And 3 or 3 guys DJ'd a couple of them, which was pretty sick. And everyone just kind of hangs out, which, and there's this thing called a barbecue band, which is something cool about the after parties a lot of people don't know. But a band gets to play on tour if they agree to become the barbecue band, which means they make all of the food for the after parties. And ours was Long Way. They played the Ernie Ball stage. Really cool guys, really, really good set. You guys should check them out. And they were the barbecue band, so they got to play on Warped Tour, and in return, they cooked all the food and hamburgers and hot dogs and served all the drinks during the after parties.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's a sweet gig if you can do it, because you get to play and you get to hang out with everyone at the end.
All right, I'm going to ask you about that after the interview, now that I come to think about it. But so going on a little bit with Warped Tour, what would you say probably is like that moment that like, wow, like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, when did that come in?
I don't remember which day it was, but I was shooting Less Than Jake, and I was on the other side of the stage, because usually when you go up the stages, you kind of have to stand in the same spot. But I was talking to JR earlier, he's like, you can go wherever you want. So I went on the other side of the stage to shoot, and it was before, I had to get over there before the band came on. And I'm just kind of chilling out with my camera, waiting for the guys to walk on. And I just look in the crowd and I just see these kids' faces. And as soon as they came out and started playing, you can just see everyone's face light up once they realized what song was coming. And that moment, knowing that that was the exact same position I've been in literally probably hundreds of times, and I was like, yeah, I want to keep doing this, and I want to make that keep happening. That's pretty much when it really set in.
Okay. All right, and then just 2 more questions about Warped Tour, and then we'll just talk a little bit about some other things. So first, who is the person that you missed the most on Warped Tour?
Oh, that's not a fair question.
Who are the people that you missed the most?
Lauren, I will say Lauren, she did special ops. She did about 16 different jobs every day. Absolute sweetheart. We were on the same bus. She was like family out there, and I never would have thought that I would have met such a cool girl out there. But coming to find out, and a lot of people that are on Warped Tour and have been doing it says it takes a special kind of girl to be able to come back. And she's coming back this year too, and we totally hit it off, and she's absolutely wonderful. And all the Vans crew are super, super rad. The Epitaph crew, we hung out all the time. I would go sell their CDs and everything at their merch booth with them. They were really, really cool. And Kevin and everyone in the production office, because they're really cool, really fun people, and you can tell they do so much hard work every single day, and it's all the unseen, behind the scenes stuff that nobody really knows about. And I really miss where they made everything really fun.
All right, and then final question about Warped Tour. What's the biggest misconception about it?
Biggest misconception? The biggest misconception, I would say, that a lot of people are like, oh, I want a job on Warped Tour. Working on Warped Tour is hard. It's so hard. It's like unbelievably hard, because the environment is changing all the time. And you literally can't plan your day until that morning, because it's true that the bands aren't scheduled until that morning. Because everyone's like, oh, well, that can't be right. But no, actually the bands really aren't scheduled until that morning. So you can't even plan your day until like 9 o'clock. And then it's like, oh, somebody's trailer broke down. So then the schedule will get changed, and then there's a new schedule. And everyone has to run around. Merch guys start setting up at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. It's so early. When Warped Tour doesn't even open until 11, but you have all these tents. I think people really don't know how hard it is to do it. And you're out there, you're working 14 hours a day. You have to set up and you have to tear down. and you're in that heat all the time, and you're around, between 6 and 20 some thousand people every single day, and it's just draining. It's a lot of fun, and people that are out there do it because they love it, but it's one thing I think people don't know is that it's not just a cakewalk to be out there every day.
Right. All right. So let's shift a little bit away from Warped Tour. So my first question for you is, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to try and make it in the music industry?
It's such a hard thing to give advice on because so much of getting in the industry, you hear like, oh, it's a networking industry. It's all about who you know, which is true. And there's an aspect of luck to everything. Like the Warped Tour job just popped up in front of me. But I was prepared in that I knew where to look for things like that. And I'd say if anyone who really wants to get in the industry, just try to make everything that you can an opportunity. I worked at Hot Topic and this coffee shop and this bar, which seemed like silly jobs, but at Hot Topic, it kind of forced me. It didn't force me, but I made it make me keep up to date with all these new music and new bands. So when customers came in, I could relate to them better. And the coffee shop and the bar that I worked at, I turned into a venue. We had a PA system and we had like a tiny little stage. Like, oh, I could totally book shows here. So I kind of learned, and I recommend it to everyone, is making every single thing that you can an opportunity, and asking questions, which seems like a no-brainer, but I know so many people who are really reserved that want to know information, but they feel like they'd be stupid to ask. But I really took advantage of that when I was in college. My good friend Chris Beach did all the booking, and then I was going under him, and I asked everything that I could because he was doing it, and I wanted to do it, so it was like, well, it just makes sense. And I guess it was easier because we were already friends, but finding those people and asking them questions and picking their brain, because everyone loves to talk about themselves. Guilty. They'll tell you pretty much everything that you need to know. And being able to do more than one thing is so valuable. And that's just not even in the music business. It's in the entertainment industry, in any industry, really. It's not even as much of an economic thing as it is you just don't know what could ever be asked of you. So as long as you prepare yourself to do anything that could be thrown your way, and if you don't know how to do it, just try to figure it out, which is a scary thing to do. But that happened to me when I was out there. We did the Warped Tour 15th anniversary movie, and Kevin and Sarah, Sarah is like Kevin's right-hand man out there, they were like, oh, we want you to come up with an online marketing plan for the movie. And I was like, I've never done a marketing plan before. And I just had to step it up. And, they asked me to do it, so I did it. And I did that on top of all the pit reporting I was already doing. So it's just, taking the most of what you can out of every situation, asking questions, and just literally wanting to learn and wanting it so bad that you make yourself learn it. Because that's the only thing, because everyone wants to do it, and the only thing that separates you is that passion, really.
Right. Okay. And then final question, and I think we'll wrap it up because it's been a long interview, but a really informative interview. So one day, when time is to retire, what is the one thing that about the music industry that you're just gonna be like, man, I wish I could have that forever?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I don't know. The one thing I could have forever?
Yeah, like the experience, the moment, the feeling, whatever the case may be.
I don't know. There's so much of it. It's just, there's this energy with everyone that works together. It's such a team effort. And there's, I guess the fancy textbook word is synergy. I hate that word, but I guess that's what it is, because you feed off of everyone else's enthusiasm, and I think it still boils down to that passion aspect, because it is the only industry that I know where people are so driven to do it. And I'm motivated being around those people, and I love seeing people that are that motivated and want to do it for themselves and for other people. So I think just everyone sharing that commonality and everyone working so hard for it is something that I'm going to remember forever, and something that's only going to push me even further. And I think that's going to stick with me, that I've seen that firsthand.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for being part of Breaking the Mold. I know it's been a long episode, guys, but I'd like to thank you guys for sticking around for so long and hearing everything that Tiffany had to say. So thank you to everybody that's watching, and thank you to Tiffany once again. This is Breaking the Mold here on TVN. Thank you to the crew, Ryan, Matt, both Ryans, another Tiffany, Martin, and everybody else that's been a part of this today.